Hey guys, it's Mrs. MacPhail. This video we're going to talk about how to multiply with decimals. I'll show you two different methods of how to do this, and so let's go ahead and get started. Our questions today are going to be involving word problems, and when we're doing word problems, it's important for you to read the question at least twice to try to figure out what it's asking you. I suggest maybe not even focusing so much on the keywords as is just taking out the numbers and asking yourself, what is this all about? It's like summarizing and reading. What are they trying to ask you to find? Like, what's going on? So let's try out this problem. Takis, show of hands, who likes Takis? They're on sale this week for $2.09 each. How much will it cost to buy 12 bags? So before anything, let's just take out the numbers and try to figure out what we need to figure out. We know that Takis are on sale, they cost so much money, and we need to figure out how much it's going to cost to buy a certain amount of bags. So since we're buying a bigger number, I know that we're probably going to have to use repeated addition or multiplication. And some other things that clue me in with that is because we have right here, they talk about the price of each bag and then how many or how much it costs to buy a certain number of bags. And it's more than just the one bag. Okay, so we know they're on sale for $2.09 each. And we need to know how much are we going to spend to buy 12 bags. So let's set this up using multiplication. And so our problem would look like this. We have $2.09 and we have 12 bags. Those are the two numbers we'll be working with. So we could do something like this. $2.09 and multiply that times 12. Okay, that's an option. Now I want to remind you that the number 12 also can look like that number 2, just as a reminder, but I'll just keep it as the 12 like that for now. Okay, notice how I have my place values all lined up and we're good to go. So we're gonna multiply. 9 and 2 is 18. 2 and 0 is 0 plus 1 gives us 1, and 2 times 2 is 4. I'm gonna put my placeholder down here to remind myself that I need to add that 0 first, and then go 1 times 9 is 9, 1 times 0 is 0, and 1 times 2 is 2. I'm going to add those together. That's 8. That's 10, so I'm going to carry the 1, and that's a 5 and a 2. Now, the thing that's different with multiplying with decimals is you do not bring the decimal straight down. I repeat, do not bring the decimal straight down. One of the best ways that I can suggest doing this is to look at where the decimal is, and sometimes you'll have more than one decimal if you have 2 or 3 numbers with decimals in them. But here we have a decimal here, and we need to ask ourselves, how many digits does it take to get way over to the end? And I know that seems kind of weird, but that's probably one of the best tricks that I can tell you. And so I like to take my pencil, and I'm actually going to switch my color here so you can see me do this. I'm going to drag my decimal and listen to me count. I'm going to go over one spot, so between the 0 and the 9, and then I'm going to go over a second spot between the 9 and, well, nothing. And so that was 2 spots. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that decimal straight down to my answer, and I'm going to go back over 2 spots. 1, 2. All right? So the answer to that problem would be $25.08. Okay? Now you can also do this with lattice multiplication. So we have 12. Notice when I write my $2.09, I'm going to put my decimal right on the intersection of the lines there, and that's going to be important momentarily. Set my lattice up, and then I just go ahead and fill this out. And then go through with my addition and bringing the numbers down. Remember, it's helpful to use a post-it note with this if you need it. Okay, now watch what I do with the decimal for this one. There's no decimal, at least on here in the number 12, but we can say that it's right there too, because even though it's a whole number, there's always a decimal right after it. I'm going to highlight the decimal in $2.09, and how this works with lattice is we have to have the decimals intersect each other. And then what we're going to do is after they intersect each other, we're just going to bring it down in a diagonal line. So our decimal is here from our 12, and it's going to intersect with our $2.09 decimal. And then we're just going to follow the closest diagonal all the way down and place our decimal there. And $25.08. Pick a method that works best for you. Try another one in this next problem now. So another word problem. Before we do any work, we're just going to figure out what it's asking. Bookmarks at the Scholastic Book Fair are 99 cents each. How much would it cost for 26 students to each buy one? So before we do anything else, let's take the numbers out and just summarize what's going on in this problem. What are we trying to figure out? So we know that there's some bookmarks at the book fair. They cost a certain amount, and we want to know how much is it going to cost for a certain amount of students to each buy one. So this is going to be addition, a repeated addition, or multiplication again, because we have a clue here that each of the bookmarks are going to cost a certain amount, and we want 26 students to each buy one of those bookmarks. So let's go ahead and set up our problem here. We're going to do some multiplication. We know that we're working with 99 cents. That's how much each of them cost. And we have 26 students that are going to buy them because we are trying to figure out how much would it cost for all of those kids to buy one. So we have 99 cents multiplied by 26. Now there's one thing I want to point out. You definitely could have set up the problem looking something like this. And if you did this, this is just fine. However, you need to remember one thing. It's important to put in those missing numbers in that decimal point just to make sure that everything lines up okay. And it would matter at the end too, perhaps, with bringing your decimal points into the correct spot. But let's ignore that for now, and let's just pretend that we set it up this way, and they're having a really good time next door. So we're going to do our multiplication. 9 times 6 is 53. 53 plus 5 is 58. So that would be a 5. No decimal points yet. Go down to our next row, bring your placement 0. It's an 18. That's 19. I like to erase the previous ones as I go along. You don't have to do that. And that's a 1. So we're going to add. And we have 2563. Now remember, the one thing we have to do yet is we have to bring that decimal point over to figure out how many spots we have to bring it back in. I know it's weird. So we're going to look at our decimal point here, and we want to bring it all the way over to this side. We want to get rid of that decimal point, like we're making a whole number. So we're going to drag it over. Let's see how many spots. We're going to go between the 9 and the 9. That's 1. And then between the 9 and whatever else. So that's 2 spots. So we're going to bring that down, and we're going to go over 2 spots. 1, 2. So your answer for this would be $25.63. All right. Now there's something else I wanted to show you really quick, and let's set this up with a lattice one time, just so you can see a different way how the decimals are used. And once again, you can feel free to stop this video at any point in time. If you feel like you're getting it, super, you can just stop it. Let's just pretend that I have this set up like this. 0. That's my 99 cents, and I'm going to put my decimal. Okay. Even helpful to make it a different color if you have colored pencils or markers. And then let's set up our 26, and let's make it look something like this. Because we know that after a decimal point, we can have as many zeros as we want because it's just the same number. So I'm just going to put in 1 0, and that's still the number 26. There's just 0 tenths after it. Okay, so I have my decimal points, and I'm going to draw my lines to get my lattice all set up. All right, now let's go through and do the math. So nothing is different so far. That's a 5, by the way. Hopefully you're following along in your math notebook. Feel free to pause whenever you need to. Okay, we're gonna bring all of our numbers down using addition. 8 and 5 is 13, that's a 16. Bring the 1 over. 2, 10, 15, bring the 1 over. Okay. Now, I have my number, 2563, and there's a 0 at the end now, and this is why the decimal point is super important. So, we're going to make sure that both of our decimals intersect each other first. So, it's kind of like a Pac-Man game kind of. So we're going to bring this one and kind of look off to the right, and there's no decimal there, so we're going to keep going down. Oh, and there's a decimal off to the right, so we're going to bring this guy over to meet it. Okay, and now do you see how they are at this intersection of this diagonal line right here? So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring that decimal point straight down outside of the lattice area, and you can see that our answer now is 25 and 63 hundredths, or $25.63, which coincidentally is the same answer that we got from doing this stuff over here. So that's another way to do lattice and decimal multiplication as well too.